We'll call tonight's regular school board meeting to order. I assume you're all here for the budget presentation, is that right? Yeah. It's great to see all the faces. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To start, I will make a motion to. I'm going to hold my motion. Perfect timing.
Welcome.
Sneak by you here.
Thank you. Roll call whenever you're ready.
Got it. Angelina Barnes.
Present.
Dwight Anspike.
Present.
Jason Hansmith.
Here.
Brad Stoddard here. John Tramontana.
Here.
Lisa Truscott.
Here.
Brad Weaver.
Here.
And Lucas. Here. We have four.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Support. I'm going to slow you down just a little bit, Brad. Sorry.
President Hanselman, I'd like to move to amend the agenda for tonight's meeting with an addition of a presentation of the Esprit de Corps Award to the high school.
So a motion to approve the agenda with that addition as item 4A on the agenda. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Support. Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. Let's move on to item 4A. Angelina, you want to take the lead on this
I
one?
will do that. Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for spending yet another Monday night with us. So here we are, 6 p.m., not on the field, but couldn't be happier to have all of you here today. So we want to welcome you here and thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be present at this Board of Education meeting. And honestly, I am so glad to see each and every one of you. I just wasn't ready for the season to end. Monday nights have been really special for us. But they've also been filled with things like hard work, setbacks, and repetition. All of us know what it means to go back to chart 0, right? Things like, and it's also been filled with comments like, bass drums, why are we playing the same old thing? Or, that was a bucket of skunks. That's a personal favorite of mine. Not to mention, this is not Johnson baby shampoo, no more tears. So, with all those things, as well as the friendships, laughter, and tears, and the frustration, they got you here. And so where exactly is here? Here is the recipient of the 2022 Bands of America Esprit de Corps Award. And believe me, I couldn't have been more shocked and honored to be present there with Noah to accept this award on your behalf. The only thing I would have changed is I wish every single one of you would have been there and to hear the kind things that were said about you from Cam, one of the directors of BOA. She was kind enough to share with us some of the things that were reported about your courtesy, your kindness, your demeanor, your enthusiasm, and your spirit, and all the things that embrace this particular award. I want to share just a little bit about the award. The Esprit de Corps Award was first awarded in 1978. It was then renamed the Al Castronovo Esprit de Corps Award in 1987 after his death. Since then, one band has received the award at the Grand National Championship competition, except for 1993 and 2012, when two groups tied and both received the award. The BOA staff, Grand National Event staff, and volunteers nominate a band to receive the award. And then the BOA, or Boards of America executive staff, reviews those nominees and makes this final selection. This is based on observations of others around you and your peers in the marching arts. Albert J. Casanovo was a nationally acclaimed band leader, choreographer, educator, and administrator, and he was also an authority on the use of computers for music education and designing marching band shows. He was one of the first to actually use a computer and plotter to design such shows. DeWitt Band, you now join the esteemed list of other bands who have received this award before you, and I think you had the opportunity as we traveled to Indy this past weekend to see some of these groups and other recipients. 2012, Avon High School received this award. 2010, Broken Arrow High School received this award, along with Plymouth Canton. Avon High School received it again, as well as Tarpon Springs, and you know the incredible caliber of those bands from our experience in Indy. But you're only the second band in the entirety of the state of Michigan to receive this award, and for that, you should be incredibly proud. I just want to end with one final thing. I had the opportunity this weekend to go to a conference called PASIC. It is the Percussion Arts Institute. Noah, help me out here. Percussive Arts Society International Convention. Okay, and I mentioned that because we had the opportunity to attend a session by a gentleman, a German drummer who is world-class, named Benny Grebs. Mr. Grebs gave a speech on what it means to go from good to great, and he listed 5 things. He talked about sound quality, technique, repetition, and various other things that he felt would take you from good to great. And I want to add on that and build on that just a little bit. I think one thing that this word demonstrates that'll take you from good to great is having the essence of what you've demonstrated in winning this award. And specifically, so that I get it exactly right, this award goes to the band with the most pride, spirit, enthusiasm, friendliness, camaraderie, and unity of purpose in marching band activity. You guys embody all that is marching band and the marching arts, and you should be incredibly proud. And your Board of Education is incredibly proud of each and every one of you. So thank you. And now, this has made it from Indy. If I could have our drum majors or field commanders come up and receive this award and give it its rightful home, if you're able to get out.
Congratulations, thank you all for coming. You're welcome to stay. I can't promise that anything will be as fun as this was for the rest of the board meeting, but otherwise you're all welcome to get out of here. Yeah.
Anybody want to talk about 7th grade camp? You can stay. It's only the good stuff. We're going to be up in the little corner up there. Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are here. Thank you. Here, let's go.
Seriously, insane. I mean, the shifting number of kids in these schools are 3 times. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
So don't take it personal that everybody left before your presentation.
We'll try not to. No, it's great. We love the marching band too, so it's awesome. It's good stuff. Ready to roll this? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for allowing us to come and share just a little bit. It was about 7th grade camp, which we're really excited. Made its triumphant return after a 3-year absence. We we're certainly bummed. We know some of the freshmen there, and obviously our 8th graders this year didn't get to experience camp. That was just, something we all know that happened over the last few years. But we're really excited to bring back. Just want to give a little bit of brief background before we get into hearing from some of our students about camp this year. Camp has been experienced here in 7th grade in DeWitt for over 50 years. And it's a huge tradition that's been going on for a long time. And Kurt Mundros and Alicia Biddington are 2 7th grade camp directors, and they truly deserve the large bulk of all the credit here tonight for putting this together. But beyond tonight, and this year, I want to say that they planned 2 camps that never happened, basically. So they planned a year, and we're ready to go, and then obviously things hit. And then last summer, we were even still working at it. They went and visited other camps to see other possibilities of what we could do. So I just want to give a lot of credit. They put a lot of work into things. We all know we put in work into things that did happen over the last few years sometimes, and this is a huge lift. We were able to take the large majority of our 7th graders to camp this year. As we've been doing for the past several years, we did a day camp here at school on October 25th, which was a Tuesday. And if anybody else remembers, that was the day we had no internet in our district, and everything went down. And honestly, I was like, well, at least we don't have to worry about our 7th graders, because they went on as planned. The day really went pretty seamless for them, because everything was done outside or planned off of technology, basically. And so that Tuesday went really well for a day camp here. And then we were able to take our students to Store Camp in Jackson overnight from the 26th through the 28th. Ended up with beautiful weather for the most part, which was great. But we've been partnering with the YMCA camp in Store now for about, 10 years or so, and it's been a great partnership, and they're wonderful. So with that, I will stop talking, turn it over to our students, and let them introduce themselves, share about their experience. So take it away.
First name? I don't know, I think we just... You're good. You say your name and...
Hello, my name is Nate Bingham, and I went to 7th grade camp. One of my favorite activities at 7th grade camp was the In Cold Blood, where you got to hold snakes, you got to hold lizards, you got to hold turtles, just kind it. But it's fun to hold them.
You want to talk anything at all about like your experience in the dining hall or
My experience in the dining hall was great. The only really bad thing about it was having to wait outside in cold weather. But everything else was great. The food was great. The tables were great.
good? Awesome. All right. Introduce yourself first.
Hi, I'm Olivia Gomez. One thing I really enjoyed at camp was just how everyone could bond and being in cabins and I liked how you could just talk to your cabin mates and play games with them. And the cabins were really nice. Everything was just really nice about them. And then you could play games in your cabin, you could just hang out in there and talk.
I'm Colin, and I really like how there's fun activities that we could do there, and that we got to like kind of play games too, and how it was really just a ton of fun to learn about how to like make a fire or build a shelter, and it was really fun. The experience of it was really fun to do.
Did you have a favorite? What was your favorite?
My favorite was probably Predator and Prey. It was kind of like a game of hide and seek and tag, and I think it was really fun that we got to act like an animal, really, like Predator. So, yeah.
I love it. Sure. And then we were super lucky. So actually, Colin's mom was also a chaperone as well, so, and it worked out that with Olivia, so the bonding. That's also a great thing because obviously with Meg didn't have, you know, her own child in there, but still having the other girls and having such a great experience with that. So you'll see some of the things, right, on the slideshow that we did as well, like they were talking about all of the different greats. Oh, that one especially. Earning the golden toilet seats and the golden dustpan for cleaning their cabins. This is our first 7th grade dance that they get to take part in when they are there. This is during day camp with us doing an activity that we have always done, the yodeler. Right, so there's just so many bonding moments and so many things that we hear from so many people about. This is something that we're at the point now where grandparents, right, have went to 7th grade camp and parents have, and it's just a fabulous tradition. So we just wanted to make sure that everyone here sees it and is aware that we're back on track and we're excited to keep DeWitt moving forward to 7th grade camp. Do you have anything you want to share, Nick?
I just really liked being a counselor. I actually went to 7th grade camp, but going as a mom was a really cool experience to see your kid in that type of experience with their classmates, and I just feel like it's something that they're bonding in a totally different way because they're living with each other for 2 nights, and instead of just seeing that kid at school, they're starting to see that this kid is pretty similar to what I am. Like, they might not be my friend at school, but I lived with them for 2 nights, and maybe if I have them in a class, I might say, hey, let's do a group project together or something. You were pretty cool when I lived with you in the cabin. So just seeing it through the eyes of an adult instead of a kid was really cool because I got to experience it both ways. So I think it is a great tradition that DeWitt has, and hopefully it continues.
I was just going to add on real quick. First off, just how proud I am of you three getting up here and standing and talking in front of these adults. That is something I wouldn't have been courageous enough to do as a 7th grader. So, and we've had a couple board members come join us at camp in the past as parent chaperones, and so it's good to see you. But the classes that when I first started working with 7th grade camps, the camp program maybe 10 or 12 years ago, I thought it was all about the outdoor education piece, and I was excited to get out of the classroom and start kind of, learning in a different way or helping these kids to learn and grow in a different way. But as time's gone on, I realized that really the biggest benefit of camp is just like some of the students and adults have talked up here, just getting to know people who are different than you. We hear it all the time with DeWitt. Sometimes it seems cliquey. You've got these pockets of groups. We want to hang around with people who are similar to us. And you're forced to hang around with some people that are different than you at 7th grade camp. And one of the highlights, I walked in Nate the Great's cabin at night one day to check them in, and they're all sitting around a table playing cards. And if you saw the crew at that table, there really could not have been 4 more different people sitting at that table, laughing and joking and having fun together. And without this camp experience, I don't know that they would ever have an experience like that. And I think that the more you get to know people who are different than you, the more you learn, like Meg said, that you have more in common than you once thought. The less you rely on stereotypes that might exist about these other little cliques that kind of tend to hang around at DeWitt. And so we feel that camp's a great experience, and we feel like it helps the environment in our middle school, and with the grade, that particular class moving all the way up through. Of course, it doesn't take care of all the problems, all bullying. It's always going to, there's going to be little bits and pieces throughout their experience, but we think that it helps. We really believe that. We hope that 52 years now, we hope that goes another 52 at least with your support in the upcoming years. So, yeah, thank you for your support, and again, big round of applause for these 3 young men.
Thank you, guys.
I'm just going to add one final thing too. I also want to thank all of our adults that came with us. Camp is definitely not at all possible without the support of everyone. And even this year, even more unique was that Storer, as many camps have done, have gone away from providing their own health person on staff there. So we had to bring some of our adults that were registered nurses and trained in medically there, and we were able to do that, which is amazing. So just a huge thank you to Meg and all of the adults that came with us this year and helped with our camp. So.
Hey guys, hold on one second. I think we have a question.
Oh, yeah, question. Kavada.
Yeah.
Just thinking about the classes, the kids that didn't get to go to camp, I'm thinking about this as such a bonding experience. Have you noticed a difference in those classes that didn't get that experience?
You know, I think that's a tricky
It's
to
a tough
answer.
question.
Tricky to answer only because COVID has been so different for everybody.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that more so than that, we notice a difference right now in our students coming back from 7th grade camp, and then we used to notice in the past too when students went. So I think there is that there. A lot of these pictures, as you were putting the slideshow together, I'm thinking, these kids, I usually see them sitting together in the lunchroom or here and there, and they're all smiling and laughing, truly, you know, true smiles there. So I think it's tough to answer, but I think that it definitely, it's a big experience. I know, you know, all of you also go to graduation each year, and I'm there, and for the many years that I've been there, almost every year, 7th grade camp is mentioned in those graduation speeches. So I know it's something that resonates with students, and as you know, Mr. Moondros was saying, we do recognize in the building too, just kind of the difference it makes as they come back.
Well, I am so glad they got to do this year.
Yeah, it's great, so we're very excited.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
DeWitt Memorial Sign. Student reports are Lucas.
All right. First of all, good job to those 3 students. I also would not have been able to make that type of speech as a 7th grader. I think Mr. Windrose and Mrs. Bennington both know because they both knew me as a 7th grader. I also wanted to congratulate Mr. Hanslight, Mr. Comontina, and Ms. Barnes on their re-election to the Board of Education. I look forward to working with you 3 and continue in this position. To those of you who don't know me, I'm Lucas Grozzi. I'm 16. I'm a junior at DeWitt High School, and I'm very happy to be in this position so I can give a voice to students who feel like they don't really have one at the school, and just to overall give a voice to our student body. I want to start off just talk about homecoming, because I didn't get to give that part in the last month. Overall, students very much enjoyed homecoming a lot more this year than last year, I know that. Student government had hired 2 decorative coordinators to come help. It was, I believe the company was called 1111, and homecoming would not have been able to happen without those 2. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to them. Students, especially the freshmen, were very enthusiastic about participating in Spirit Days this year and other activities. We're very happy to have a very enthusiastic freshman class. Homecoming parade occurred on October 7th. The board members also participated in that parade, and it happened right before the soccer game. And the soccer game was, of course, also new this year for homecoming, and students enjoyed that. I know they did because I was also there, and I was talking to a bunch of people, and they were having fun. A lot of people had fun. Mr. Dotson brought pizza after the game, and we had a student band called Bertie Van Ostrin. Mr. Weaver's son, he's in that band, and students enjoyed it. I was there. They were very good. Overall school climate, we've had the first 9 weeks of school. It just came to an end on October 28th. Students were feeling very stressed out. I've talked to many of them. They were feeling burnt out over midterm assignments or other kind of work. And as the second week started on October 31st, more students were seeing this time as just like a nice fresh start to build back up and work on time management, working on new assignments to build better habits. We're very happy to also welcome in some new teachers this year. Mrs. Nolan, who teaches English, Mrs. Volkman, who teaches business, and of course our new principal, Mr. Dotson. We have some up-and-coming activities and also past activities that were happening. On November 11th, there was a Veterans Day breakfast that had occurred. I was very lucky to have been able to volunteer and help with that breakfast. I got to meet many of the veterans that were there and help serve them. They were all very nice. They all appreciated the work that we were doing for them there, and I know they all were very happy. This week, from November 14th through November 18th, we have a food drive that is happening. So parents are able to have their students bring in food, and students will receive a prize. Today's prize, I believe, is donuts. Tomorrow's pie. We also have hot cider, candy, and other kind of things. There's a, I think I go into that later. So there will also be no school on the 23rd, the 24th, and 25th for Thanksgiving break. And also this week, November 17th, there will be school-wide assembly on substance abuse. Going into athletics, on November 11th, DeWitt Panthers defeated Linden's football team. This sends our football team into the semifinals. And on November 18th, they will play Mason to see if they go to the finals. Our volleyball team has also had an eventful last couple of weeks. On November 2nd, they won their district semifinals against Grand Ledge. On November 8th, they won their volleyball regional championship, or semifinals, against Battle Creek. And on November 10th, the volleyball team won their regional championship against Gold Lake. We have winter sports happening. They're starting in the next couple of weeks. Tryouts for ice hockey took place on October 31st. Tryouts for gymnastics took place on November 2nd. Tryouts for competitive cheer took place on November 7th. And then tryouts for JV varsity girls basketball, as well as bowling and both men's and women's wrestling took place today, November 14th. And then tryouts for varsity JV and freshman boys basketball, as well as boys swim and dive will take place on the 21st. We have some new clubs and other extracurriculars that have been coming in the last couple of weeks, including Film Club. Film Club, I've talked with the creator of this club, who's a student, Meadow Sellemeyer. The vision of this is to have students come into the media center, or I think it's a presentation room, and to come in every other Wednesday and just watch a movie with friends, have just a nice time to escape the kind of stresses or like pressures of school. So for more information that, you can contact the advisor, Mr. Woolsey, or Meadow Sellemeyer herself, or you can follow the DHS Film Club Instagram page. Model UN is also a new club where students can take on the roles of nations around the world and debate global issues. This club gives them an idea of global situations and how to work on, and allows them to learn like the art of diplomacy. Also, for more information, you can contact the advisor, Mr. Wisner, or follow the Model UN Instagram page for more information. Another new club is Students Against Destructive Decisions. This is, I think, very important as we come into this type of era with students, especially with social media and other types of information coming in. Is just a way for students to, their goal is to assist students against like the risks and pressures that they receive in everyday lives. And just peer pressure is an extremely horrible issue that's unfortunately happening all across the U.S. and not just in DeWitt, but I think working on this here is a very good thing and important as we move forward. I know they're planning monthly activities to help students pursue healthy decision making in life. Student government has also been working very hard. As I said before, they organize their annual food drive, which is happening from today, November 14th to the 18th. There's also spirit days that are going along with it today, for the rest of the week, to kind of motivate students to bring donations and just have fun throughout the week. In seminar tomorrow, there will be a seminar competition where students will bring in their donations and try to stack them up, and the seminar that stacks their donations the highest wins prize. Our marching band, we saw them earlier, but now they've all gone. So on November 5th, the marching band went to Ford Field in Detroit to compete their statewide championship. They formed their show, 15 Minutes of Fame, and came in a close second to Reese Buffer's marching band. Still good. The marching band also went to Indianapolis this last weekend, and they competed in their national championship, and we just saw them receive their reward for, I don't remember, what was it called again?
It was called the Esprit de Corps.
All right. We also just had our musical the last couple, on October 27th, 29th, and 30th. I know every night was either close to being or was sold out, so it was very popular. The show was Newsies. I went to go see it. It was amazing. Everyone who was in it performed very well. I think just as a closing statement, we can I think just overall, the students have been trying to keep moving as things are changing around them. And I think that's important to see when we look back at years of COVID where students were either not performing well or performing to lesser extent to, and now they're moving forward and they're getting back. I think that's overall very good, and most students are starting to move back to where we were. So,
Thank you, Lucas.
thank you.
That's a great update, thank you, Lucas. Before we move on to discussion item, I'd like to make a statement, if that's okay?
Sure.
All right, so we have had a couple of emails and phone calls about some of our policies, and I know we'll have more discussion when it comes to the policy and the first read, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the phone calls and emails that I have received, and I guess there's been some stuff on social media. So all the policy updates that are for the first read are brought to us by Neola. So we use Neola because their attorneys and expertise across the state and the country keep the district in compliance with both state and federal regulations. So policy 9150, there's really been very little change, but the changes are proposed to address changes to state law, specifically Public Act 295. So all parents with legal custody have rights. They can attend IEPs, they can attend parent-teacher conferences, but the district is extremely careful with scheduling those events and meetings before and after school in alternative locations such as central office, and not allowing any sex offenders who are parents with other students. In addition, we are still prohibited from hiring anyone on the registry, as we are still able to implement reasonable guidelines and expectations like alternative locations, alternative times, having an escort with anyone. And it's also important to understand this update has legal requirements for us, and that's why it's in the language. But we still use iChat, and any sex offender or for other crimes, students' priority and safety, or student safety is our priority. And we make sure that, I mean, I've turned away even workers for the bond and construction based on how iChats have come out. We've turned away a grandparent that couldn't attend events. So we're very, very careful to make sure that our students are safe. That is a priority. We will and do everything possible to keep them safe. So even though we are required to have certain language, I also have the discretion to have certain procedures in place to make sure that our students are safe.
So to boil it down, if someone has to come into the building because they have to meet with the principal, we have to have some type of policy in place to deal with that. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you. District memorial sign.
Yes. So this is a discussion item and an action item later on. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. So in the bond was to update our sign. Our road sign hasn't worked for a while. And the best way to bid that out was to have it with another project where Mason would be involved or certain work would be involved to help make sure that the price was kept down. However, we're trying to be very careful, so we're doing some things as an alternate because that is something that could be done now with a particular project. So it was actually bid out with the maintenance building, or it could be bid out with another building. So we did it as an alternate. And what came back was over 6 figures, so we kind of said, oh, we're going to put this on pause, we're going to take a look. So I've actually been working with Dan Koss from the city to see if the city's interested in going in together with it. We also took a look at what would the cost be if we left it where it was, and not, we were planning on kind of moving it where that thank you sign was, to be kind of on the corner. We started exploring some other ideas. We do have $75,000 that's in the tech budget for the bond to go toward the sign, but we're also trying to create or reap any savings that we possibly can. So a couple of different designs that I brought to you. I'm asking that the board approve up to $75,000, which is what was already budgeted, but because it was an alternate, it was not approved previously, and anything over $50,000 the bond has to vote on. So the sign that I would like to go with is a little, I think it's about $6,000 more, but it's a better sign. It's a better quality sign. I was recommended to do 10 or less.
So the 10 pixels, and what that means is that's the amount of space that's in between each dot. So the smaller the number, the closer the lights are together, which means the better resolution that you're going to get. So with this particular resolution, it's high enough that it can even play some short videos. So it'll be pretty good quality that's on the sign. But in addition, part of the increase of cost is because that is going to need more power, and the way the sign is 220, 120, I'm not real sure for whatever, but it needs more power. So there's an increase of increasing the power. So that's I'm looking at the better quality sign. And again, the city is still having conversations. I'm working with them, but the problem is I can't go to them and ask, Dan to take something to his board if you haven't approved that yes, we have to go ahead. So there'll be an action item later, but I wanted to discuss it now and answer any questions that you might have.
So why would the city contribute?
Yeah, that's a good question. So they are looking to have more presence as well. So they have the sign on the corner that's pretty much kind of lost visibility as well as quality. We would not, if they go in, because he was talking about going in half with us, which is a pretty substantial savings, and I don't know if the board will agree to that or not, but we wouldn't do any third parties. So sometimes they have people asking them to put things on their sign. It would only cover like city events, so like elections, cleanup, things of that nature, and we would have an agreement on what that would look like and how that would work. But there is a possibility of being able to reap some more savings, and we're trying to be good stewards of the money, save wherever we can, because between lead times and increased costs, wherever we can save money, we want to do that. Other questions?
I have a question about, there's 2 design options here.
Mhm.
Is there a particular design option that is that part of the?
We could do either. We could do either design if you like one better than the other. The committee kind of likes the option 2 design because it fits a little bit better with the differences. So that's the one we're looking at, regardless of which video I'll call it a video monitor. It's a sign. So no matter which one we go with, we could do the different caps or design.
Okay.
But I'm leaning toward the 8 mm pixels with the second design option.
I was trying to figure, I like that one better too, but I was trying to figure out the sizes and if they were, it looked like they were quite different, but I didn't know if it was like the screen area versus the whole thing.
Yeah, the screen is the same regardless. It's the same size, and it's actually the same size that's out there. It's just better quality.
It just wasn't like an apples to apples.
It wasn't, because to be honest with you, I had to kind of tweak design 1.
But the screen is the same, so
yes, it's the same size.
Yeah. Okay.
It's deceiving because it looks longer on the second option. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll have an action item. Yeah.
Public communications for items on the agenda.
Michaela Smith.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michaela Smith. I'm a taxpayer from DeWitt Charter Township. I come before you to speak this evening in regards to the first reading of policies. I appreciate the superintendent's statements ahead of time. The reason that I wanted to address the school board this evening to talk more about this is when I was reading through the information and the proposed revision of these policies, what was most alarming to me and caused a great deal of red flags is that the current policy language restricts the visitor policy.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure people can hear you on TV. Can you just turn the mic? Yeah. Exactly.
Tip it up.
Better?
Tip it up.
Better. Okay. All right. So as I was saying, the current policy language restricts it, and this is regards to the visitor policy, of course, 9150. So the current policy language restricts it specifically to parents and guardians who are the registered sex offenders. And obviously, if they want to attend their child's school activities, there are steps outlined to follow. But the new language broadens the scope to include individuals who are registered sex offenders. So I was just very concerned that the language of individuals replacing parents and guardians really does broaden that particular scope. So I wanted to bring that to the board's attention. I wasn't sure why this generalized term was being utilized for this particular policy revision. So I would hope that the school board would give careful consideration to the safety of the students, and I do appreciate the superintendent having the different processes in place to keep all the students in the district safe. You know, my other concern is, should there be a future superintendent, would that type of process still be followed? Because policy is, of course, everything. So I thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Peter Thompson?
Hello, Director Thompson. Lucas, thank you for your presentation tonight. It was very insightful. I really appreciate it. Interesting about the sign. I think that's exciting. You said maybe playing short video clips with having student drivers. That might be a big concern because there's accidents in the car right along all the time.
They're not that long, they're like seconds.
Still,
but, yeah.
transportation engineer, distracted driving, red flag. I was also coming here to talk about the policy 9150, and I thought it was very interesting that it was changing from parents and guardians to individuals. And I understand that there's the Public Act 295, and we're trying to be more gender neutral in terms of our language. However, at the same time, if you look at policy regarding the vendors, 6460, it's actually adding language that talks about parents and guardians. So there's kind of a discrepancy there in terms of Neola's saying, okay, we have to change this policy to say individuals and get rid of parents and guardians, but in policy 6460, they're saying parents and guardians. Again, I agree with what Michaela just spoke about in terms of being very cautious. In terms of individuals, it's very broad. All policies or bylaws, laws, whatever, they clearly define and they make definitions at the beginning of the bylaws or any laws stating, here's this word, this is how it's defined. In our bylaws, we clearly have parents defined. Individuals is very broad, and it's not defined anywhere. And then just one other thing, reading the vendor relation policy, I was wondering, do we have, and I know you can't answer me right now, but do we have, does district have any contracts or looking into contracts with Cengage, National Geographic Learning, because that might be a potential conflict of interest? Thank you. It's Cengage Learning, National Geographic Learning. Thank you.
Chelsea Brown?
First thing I'd like to do is take this opportunity to publicly thank parents, whose advocacy over the past few months and years has brought about all the transparency reforms that the board is fond of taking credit for, despite the board having been initially against all of it. One of these reforms was to make policy updates available in advance of voting. Without that, we would have had no notice of the changes being proposed to the visitor policy, so thank you to the parents for that. Heard what you said about legal obligations. Where was that concern when parents were barred last year? MCL 3801137 required you to allow parents last year, and you ignored it. It's offensive and dangerous, what you guys are proposing. I understand what you said about that we need to broaden the language. Parents who are sex offenders were already allowed under the current language, so I just don't really understand your explanation. But on a positive note, maybe now people on the board will read some of these policies that I have been asking for answers about and get back to me about that. It's interesting last year and this year that I have been asking what was going on with the policy last year. policy was shadow amended to ban all parents from district buildings last year, when the superintendent didn't like what it said, but nobody has ever gotten back to me and given me what those policies were. So maybe now that this policy is a topic of discussion, somebody could do that. I've been informed recently, multiple times, that everyone's questions are always answered and that everyone has the documents that they've asked for. I don't have this document. I FOIA'd it. I don't have it. I don't have what the visitor policies were last year. I FOIA'd it. I don't have it. I followed up on my FOIA. I don't have it. So I would appreciate maybe if the board could do some more discussion about this in front of us so we can hear the reasoning behind this, because what was said previously just doesn't really make a lot of sense to us, and we're very concerned about the fact that more people might have access to children when they should be in a protected, safe place. Thank you.
Kristen McCleary?
Well, the speech I wrote needs to change a little, and I obviously did not have time to do so based on your response. I am here questioning the policy of 9150. So my next question to you is, did you question the state on why this? Like, are you just doing it because they told you to do it? Like, I think that that's a good question, is why they choose to change the language, and that's important for apparently not just our school districts, but every school district in the state of Michigan, and maybe we can be on the forefront of that answer, right? I'm a parent, I'm a homeowner, and I'm a business owner in this community, and I truly don't understand really why the state of Michigan would choose to change this language and why you would consider to change this language to include all individuals versus just parents and guardians. I don't even understand why it is a priority over our kids' actual education versus, again, including sex offenders inside schools and making exceptions for them and things like that. So maybe something else to consider. I talked to over 50 parents today about this policy. It's probably one of the people that you've heard that, you know, it's a buzz on social media. I'm one of those parents that got the conversation started. And the response back that I got from all of them is, why is this the best for our children? And serious question is not a single one of them could come up with a positive answer, and I guess I just don't understand how you could come up with one positive answer for this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan Barry?
Hi everybody, my name is Jonathan Baring, long-time listener, first-time caller. So I'm a homeowner in Watertown Township. I have a student in the school district, and I also was privileged enough to coach the varsity lacrosse team to their conference championship. I'm here tonight on behalf of concerned parents for the policy of a change to 9150. I have a couple issues that I want to bring up, and I hope that you'll entertain these items before you draw your conclusions and make a vote, so please keep your minds open. One of the issues relates to the superintendent's consolidating power within that office as opposed to delegating that among principals. The language that changed actually removed the principals from being able to make that on-site judgment call and meeting with the offender in question versus having all that run through an off-site person's office that probably already has their plate full with a lot of other things. So empowering an on-site principal to make the judgment call for what's best for his or her school would be probably preferred in my book. I don't know why everything would be consolidated under one roof as opposed to broadening that scope. Staying on topic here, now we're moving into the fact that what was the original intent of this policy was to protect children, and we talked about that, and you said you would keep them safe. However, that's just a pretty broad brush to paint that with, and safety is paramount to our children, and a lot of best intentions actually end up having unintended consequences. Attorneys make a business at finding the loopholes, and criminals actually do the same thing. Criminals find loopholes and work their ways in. So you may have the best intentions and in a broad brush say you can keep your children safe, but when you open up yourself to a broader policy, you're going to get a broader swath of people trying to knock down the door. So not to touch on anything too sensitive because there are small ears here, so I apologize, but I just want to open up the conversation to who may be a sex offender. And we do know that pedophiles are sex offenders. And those are people, adult individuals, who prey on children and actually want or feel that they're sexually attracted to children. So that's a non-starter there. Sometimes sex offenders may find themselves in the drag queen community, and our own Attorney General, Dana Nessel, has actually been quoted as saying she would prefer to have a drag queen in every classroom because drag queens make everything better. And if we talk about what a drag queen might be, it might be an adult man dressed as a woman to find their own joy. They entertain with outfits and dances that are sexually suggestive and provocative. This leads to grooming and the promotion of behavior that is not consistent with the education of our children that we're entrusting you with. So it goes really fast from we're trying to be inclusive to we're almost already too inclusive. And where do you draw that line? Because whether it's sex offenders now or practicing Satanists, where do you draw that line when you just include everybody? So we do have to have standards, and I hope that you guys think about this policy change because it opens the school doors up to potential problems, lawsuits, injuries to children, and who benefits, who really benefits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth Engels?
I'm not
Jamie Torres? Same, okay. That's all we have.
Consent agenda? The recommendation by the Superintendent Shauna Spicker that the Board of Education approve, adopt, and accept the following items for immediate implementation and appropriate action as presented. Approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting on October 10th, 2022, the special meeting on October 19th, 2022, and the curriculum and improvement meeting also from October 19th, 2022. The Treasurer's report and bills for payment for the month of October 2022. The Treasurer's reviewed and confirmed the checks, ACH debits, and the purchase card for the month of October 2022. And we need to approve the summer tax resolution. We have a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. For our action items, recommendation by Superintendent Shauna Spiggott that the Board of Education charge a board change order to Clark Construction, EMPD, for an amount of $75,000 for work required. Excuse me. For the monument sign for the contract agreement, the DPS team may select either proposed design from the attached proposed request for change order number 13 and 14 issued by Clark Construction. And each proposed request for change order sum is anticipated maximum cost and should be the final contract sum less the amount approved. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any more discussion than what we already had on this issue? Questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I have some pre-written background. I'll give a little bit more. Neola Representative Pat Kruger reviewed the fall 2022 policy updates on October 7th with the superintendent, trustee Angelina Barnes, and Deb Smith. We meet every fall and spring, and we get some recommended policy updates. We do two readings. This is our first reading. We'll approve it. We sometimes make tweaks to it. We go back to Neola with changes. Typically, they recommend changes that are designed to help us comply with the law. I think this one is in that category of trying to comply with the law, but I wrote down some questions. I think we'll talk about how to address some of those questions before the second reading, which we'll have next month, presumably. So with that, it's a recommendation by Superintendent Spicker that the Board of Education approve the following policies for first reading as presented. Policy 0144.1, policies 6108, policy 6460, policy 6700, policy 7440.03, and policy 9150. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any more discussion, questions?
I'm going to vote to move these forward for this first reading, and we're going to have another crack at it. Specific to 9150, I want a full kind of history of why the state did this. I believe there was a court case involved. I think that the history of this is a little bit more simple than what's being presented here. So I think it's good to get that full history out there. I believe it was a bipartisan bill that passed the legislature.
It was in 2000, or 2020.
In 2020.
Effective in 2020.
So I think.
Effective, yeah, March 24.
Correct. So I think it's good to get a full history from Neola before we kind of move it past second reading next month.
So maybe you could give that kind of a discussion at our next.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's a lot of the existing language is considered unconstitutional. There's 1,000 feet that's considered unconstitutional, but I'll bring all that information.
Does the court case have anything to do with the word individual versus parent and guardian?
Well, because people can work and live within that proximity as well. So this is about school events, so that's why I want to get a little bit more clarification on why that particular language was. Yeah.
Rather than trying to speculate, let's
Yeah.
get Mr. Neola.
That'd be great.
Before we further. Okay.
Yeah, I got another question, a completely different policy. And I apologize, I didn't send this question prior. I think I probably overlooked it till now, but on policy 7440, this is on drones essentially. I know this passed the prior time in 2019 before we had the drone club. So it excluded the students as authorized, but I notice it still doesn't authorize the students as part of that club. It only authorizes an employee of the district.
Correct.
Staff member or administrator.
So what is that? What
Is
that?
there a club that still exists? I guess I need to find that there is a drone club.
As far as I know, but I mean, we have a drone racing team.
Yeah.
So we'll add that to Shauna's list.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that because this policy is because of federal regulations that have been added, so.
Get that.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll put ourselves in a loophole there.
right.
Okay.
Good question.
Again, I apologize.
No worries.
Missed
And,
that.
and this would allow you to give someone approval to operate a drone that had the requirements, the authorization and the license.
Right, which I have done with somebody that has the license and has the registered drone, but I don't know if all the students would be licensed and have registered drones.
Yeah, I was
So,
thinking like construction
you have to be a
management
certain-
team.
You have to be certain, yeah.
Okay.
It might be because the team goes indoors. I don't remember the policy, but.
Yeah, the policy
this would
doesn't
be- this would
specify
be
indoors or
outside.
outdoors. It just says
Yeah.
in the district.
So I'll look into that.
Good
All
call.
right, with those two follow-up questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last item, we have some early graduation requests. It's a recommendation by Superintendent Shauna Spickler to the Board of Education. The 6 requests for early graduation as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? As we deal with these every year this time. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public communications for items not on the agenda.
Amanda Karstu, did I get it right?
Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Amanda Karsten, and I'm a co-parent in this district as well as a taxpayer, and I'm having this conversation in the overall heading of school safety. On 10/12, the Glenn Parental Rights Bill was signed into law. You won't effectively have to have the posting up until January 1st of 2023, but it will require this district to have language of the Michigan Revised School Code 1976 and Article 8 of the Michigan Constitution describing parental rights. Please make sure that it's ADA compliant and larger than 12-point font. Also, in regards to the policy change regarding sex offenders, there's currently 17 sex offender registrants in DeWitt. What is the exact statutory requirement that is requiring this change versus hiding behind the fact that Neola recommended this? Want it highlighted with the actual citations of the statutory requirement. I believe it was around October 26th, the school had the active shooter drill. And in talking to some of the students that were in school that day, the most that they remember from that drill is that they were required to stand next to the whiteboard. What are we actually doing to teach our students about safety during these active shooter drills? How are we teaching them to deal with situations if they're caught in the hallway, if they're caught in the cafeteria, if they are not in a classroom? What are we doing?
Also, I find it interesting that the okay to say email recently went out to parents, followed by the fact that we are discussing the sex offender registry changes and what is the school district doing about the fact that a high school student put a kill list on Snapchat. Why has the district been silent about it? Why has this community been silent about it? And why are we quietly getting emails about okay to say? Why were the police not immediately involved? As of October 12th, Bloomfield Hills had a middle school student who was discovered to have published a kill list. They removed that student from school, the police department was immediately contacted, the police investigated, and then the police were the ones that made that determination as to whether or not there was a credible threat. The police also were the ones to contact the parents who were impacted by this. If this school really has safety in mind, what the hell are you doing about it?
Melanie, Matt?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to congratulate Angelina and Dwight and John for their re-election to the board. The three of them ran campaigns that were positive and informative. This community is very fortunate that they are willing to continue to serve on this board. I'd also like to acknowledge the voters in this community who took the time to be engaged and informed when they cast their ballots. Together, we were able to push back against the influence of groups such as Moms for Liberty, whose intent seems to be to have the public lose confidence in public education. The election results in DeWitt clearly show that most voters support the direction the Board of Education is guiding DeWitt Public Schools in. The election is behind us. The three fabulously well-qualified candidates have retained their seats. It's time now to step back and ask, how can we as a community better support our schools? Are there specific ways that people like me can help? How do we as a community continue to buck the trend of politicizing the work of school boards? Let's roll up our sleeves and work together to support this board, school administrators, and most of all, the educators who are doing their best each and every day to meet the needs of the student in DeWitt's classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Theo Randall?
Good evening, everyone. Just here to speak on behalf of what we touched base on the last two meetings. I hope you guys all have gotten my emails. I'd love to touch base more on that. Unfortunately, with what I have going on personally at the end of the month, by next meeting, we should have a lot of answers figured out to present to you guys properly. I'm here tonight to ask that the parents that are trying to put together this program properly for the school, for the program, be on the agenda. Let their voices be heard. These are great people. I've worked with them, worked with their children. I would love to have them have the opportunity to chat with you all in that format so that you can see what they're trying to do right for everybody.
Thank you. And George Berghorn.
Good evening, Dr. Spicker, members of the DeWitt Board of Education. My name is George Berghorn. I'm a resident of DeWitt Township, and I have a child who attends DeWitt Public Schools. The DeWitt Archery program as a concept has served a great purpose, giving kids from diverse backgrounds an opportunity to compete at a level that they might not ordinarily have. Despite that great concept, I understand that you will be having discussions about ongoing issues with the club with legal counsel at some point in the near-term future. In fact, you have heard from many parents and community members about concerns with past and current club operations and behaviors. I'm coming before you tonight with a potential solution for those concerns. I'd like to let you know that there is a group of parents that have organized an option for a different administration of the archery program in DeWitt. And I stand before you tonight asking for your consideration for those efforts. This new option has many features that I believe you will find compelling. It is set up as a 501c3, not an LLC. It is organized by a majority group of past and current parents who are solely focused on the club's longevity and success. The club is structured to provide a focus on accountability. To that end, the club is governed by a fully elected board that is elected by club membership. This provides a self-governance structure that addresses issues without the need to come to the school board for resolution. And the organization is set up to function as either a booster organization to a school-run club or as a standalone certified program through NASP. On behalf of the leadership of this new organization, I would like to request a special meeting with the DeWitt Board of Education to discuss this alternative and to find a path forward. Thank you for your time and due consideration.
Thank you. So, yeah. Superintendent's report.
All right, so thank you, Lucas, for such a nice report. You kind of did some of my updates, so I'll skip through those. But first, congrats to our incumbents, John, Angelina, and Dwight. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you. We've done a lot of work on strategic plan and board governance, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue that work. Happy to report that Mike Bry received the 22-23 Michigan AAA, which is Athletics Administrators Association Region 7 Athletic Director Award. So he is not only a great representation of our DeWitt Panther song of strong, loyal, united, and true, but he also brings perspective, understanding, and a wealth of knowledge to the profession. He is in every essence of the words team player, and we're very lucky to have him on our team. The Veterans Day celebration was a fantastic day, and thank you to Stephanie Perez and all the staff who helped and students who helped make that a special day. You've heard about the camp, a musical, Diamond and Denim's PTA's event was a huge success. You heard about the band award. Transportation had stuffed a bus, which was a huge success, so we're excited about that. And then we finally had our career fair for 8th and 10th graders, another huge success. A little bit of bad news. Unfortunately, we are down yet another driver for medical reasons. So probably up until January, we still have transportation mechanic, secretary, anyone who can drive bus, but we will have to rotate a bus cancellation up until then. So transportation will be notifying families of bus runs as well as the affected building administrators. And if parents can't make it work, we'll try to reroute them or put them at another stop to where they could possibly be picked up. But we are in desperate need of substitute bus drivers. I know you said you were interested in getting your license. As far as the strategic plan is concerned, we're continuing to update our website and web pages, and we've added the November bond dashboard to the bond site. Academic programs, we had our career fair, we're working on gifted and talented hub and resources, and we're having discussions about our elementary offerings as well as building transitions. For safety and operations, the principals have attended a threat assessment training, and David Casada and I have done the it's a virtual National Safety Summit. And then we're also taking a look at cyber safety measures. I don't know if you saw in the news, but nearby district in Jackson had a cyber attack with ransomware. I've been through that in another district, and it's very crippling to a district. So we want to make sure that no one's clicking on things that they shouldn't be. In addition, let's see, we are just, I've sent out a couple of emails. We're training and run, hide, fight. So we're very lucky with Chief Maroney, who's trained with the FBI and with Michigan State University. And so we had to get our staff trained. It's an ongoing training. So we have our teachers trained, some of our support staff trained, and the safety task force is working on age-appropriate lessons, because we're obviously not going to teach young children how to fight, but we are going to teach them other ways other than locking down. So there are several things that we'll be practicing: how to barricade a room, how to lock rooms. I know the high school has done a lot more with this because they're older kids and they've been exposed to what run, hide, fight looks like. And the elementaries have started with just kind of tweaking their drills a little bit to learn about run to the whistle, this is our destination, or where to go if a staff member is not able to go with you. So those are all things that are in the works, but obviously they take a lot of time. And then our learning environment and culture, we're working on mentoring, and at our December meeting, you're going to hear about hopefully adopting and amending the curriculum guide to offer a mentoring class, because our assistant principals have been working really hard on setting up mentoring between middle and high school, and so far that's been very successful. And then personnel, we're really working on recruitment efforts and sending out information on that. The enrollment is at 3108, but FTE is 3105. And then lastly, the foundation has their patron drive going on. So for $40, you can become a patron. You'll get a window cling and a thank you card from the foundation, but that also goes into teacher grants. So right now those are open for teachers. They can apply for classroom grants for special projects or activities that they're wanting to do. And those teacher grants are due on December 5th. So I would encourage you all to become a patron.
Thank you. It's the recommendation by Superintendent Shannon Spicker that the Board of Education go into closed session under Section 8H1 for attorney-client privilege communication under the Open Meetings Act. This is a roll call vote requirement. Brad, can you run that?
Angeline Barnes?
First? I guess we need a motion first. Sorry.
Support.
Move to support it. Now we need a roll call.
Angeline Barnes? Dwight Hamstreet? Approved. Jason Hassman?
Yes.
Matt Stoddard, yes. John Tramontano?
Yes.
Lisa Trescott?
Yes.
Brad Weaver?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, motion carries. We will go into closed session now. Thank you all. The motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.